The strange war that lasted only 38 minutes. Imagine a war so short that you could watch it from start to finish during your lunch break. On August 27th, 1896, the world witnessed what is still considered the shortest war in recorded history. It lasted just 38 minutes. This incredible event became known as the Anglo Zanzibar War. But how can a war between two nations end in less than an hour? To understand the story, we need to travel back to the late 19th century. At the time, Zanzibar was a wealthy island sultanate located off the coast of East Africa. It was famous for its spice trade and strategic location in the Indian Ocean. Although Zanzibar had its own ruler, Britain held significant influence over the region and expected local leaders to follow British interests. Everything changed on August 25th, 1896. The Sultan of Zanzibar, Hamad bin Thawani, suddenly died under mysterious circumstances. Some historians suspected that he may have been poisoned, although this was never proven. Immediately after his death, a powerful prince named Khalid bin Bargash seized the palace and declared himself the new sultan. There was one major problem. Britain did not approve of Khalid's rise to power. Under existing agreements, the British believed that any new sultan needed their approval before taking the throne. Instead, they supported another candidate, Hamoud bin Mohammed. British officials sent a clear message to Khalid: step down peacefully, leave the palace, and surrender power. Khalid refused. Instead of backing down, he gathered around 2,800 supporters, including palace guards, servants, and soldiers. He positioned artillery pieces around the palace and prepared for a possible confrontation. Meanwhile, Britain began preparing its response. Several powerful British warships moved into Zanzibar harbor. Their commanders delivered a final ultimatum. Khalid had until 9 a.m. on August 27th to surrender. If he remained in the palace after that time, military action would begin. The deadline approached. The clock ticked toward 9 a.m. British representatives waited. Khalid still refused to leave. Then, at exactly 9:02 a.m., the war began. British warships opened fire on the Sultan's palace. The bombardment was devastating. The palace, built largely from wood, quickly caught fire. Shells smashed through walls and destroyed defensive positions. Zanzibar's artillery attempted to return fire, but stood little chance against the modern British naval guns. One of the Sultan's most important assets was a royal yacht named HHS Glasgow. The vessel tried to engage British ships, but was rapidly disabled and sunk. Within minutes, the palace was in ruins. Smoke filled the sky. Defenders fled their positions. The battle was effectively over before many people even realized it had started. At approximately 9:40 a.m., the Sultan's flag was shot down. This signaled the end of resistance. The war was over. Total duration, about 38 minutes. The casualty figures reveal just how one-sided the conflict had been. Around 500 people on the Zanzibar side were killed or wounded during the bombardment. The British suffered only a single injured sailor. Khalid himself escaped through a back entrance and sought refuge in the German consulate. He later received protection from German authorities and eventually lived in exile. Following the conflict, Britain installed Hamoud bin Mohammed as Sultan, ensuring that Zanzibar remained firmly under British influence. The event became a powerful symbol of the age of imperialism, when European empires often exercised enormous control over smaller states. More than a century later, the Anglo Zanzibar War remains one of the most extraordinary military events in history, not because of its scale, not because of its destruction, but because an international war began and ended in less time than most movies take to show their opening scene. The shortest war in history lasted only 38 minutes, yet its story continues to fascinate people around the world. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow for more unbelievable historical events that actually happened.